To truly win at fitness as a beginner, you need to change your mindset about fitness, health, and the gym ultimately. This video podcast today is going to talk all about that, including tips on staying motivated to work out long term, how to get results long term, and even how to diet without feel like you are depriving yourself. So make sure you stay all the way until the end of the video because we've got some great information for you to take home today to get the most out of your time in the gym as a beginner. Make sure to also like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as we help individuals of all abilities improve their overall health and knowledge of the gym regardless of their current abilities in life. And go ahead and comment down below and let me know where you are at in your fitness journey. Are you just starting out? Are you 3 months in? Have you worked out for years? I'd love to know. So one of the most important things that comes with improving your overall health and fitness is this idea of cultivating a fitness mindset. So a fitness mindset is incredibly important for beginners for a lot of different reasons. So let's first just discuss what exactly a fitness mindset is, okay? So a fitness mindset is this idea that we need to look at fitness as a lifestyle, okay? So fitness isn't just simply going to the gym and working out, right? That's a part of it, but it's not just simply that workout. It encompasses every single aspect of your life, and this is how we need to look at it to get the most overall results in the gym and in our health and wellness goals. Okay, so instead of just saying like, okay, I'm going to get into fitness, I'm going to start working out 2 days a week. That's great, but what about all of the other time throughout the rest of the week and day? There's a lot of extra time where you can mess up your diet, you can have poor sleep, you can maybe set up yourself for failure so the gym is harder to get to, right? You might encompass too many responsibilities, and that leads you to a point where you can't work out. So instead of just looking at it as just the sole workout itself, looking at it as in we are needing to recreate our entire lifestyle is an incredibly crucial key in getting the most results out of your fitness journey. Okay, so it's encompassing every single aspect of life. And another analogy I really like to use when it comes to cultivating this fitness mindset is this idea that fitness is essentially a never-ending game. And this might sound kind of like, why would I even start if I'm never going to win, right? If it's a game that I'm just going to keep playing and I'm never going to win, what's the point of doing it at all? Well, I simply say this to help people realize that really fitness is just a long-term process and a long-term endeavor. And you're never going to get to a point where you are fully 100% saying, okay, I'm finished. This is good. There's always going to be things you want to improve on. There's always going to be things that you want to do to make your fitness and health better, even if you are content, right? For myself, I feel content right now, but there are still mini goals I have for myself. It's just little things and little ways to help me persevere and keep moving in this fitness game. So the way we kind of look at this in this never-ending game of fitness is asking the simple question, what will happen to your results if you quit? What will happen? You've spent the last 6 months working out really hard, you've built a little muscle, you've lost a little bit of weight, you look better, you feel better. What will happen if you don't keep playing the same game that got you up to these results? Well, it should seem pretty self-explanatory that if you quit the game, you will lose everything that you just created, right? There are some permanent changes, which I've discussed on my channel before, like muscle mass. Once you build a little bit of muscle, you build some muscle cells, and that stays with you. So you might lose the size, but those muscle cells are there, so you can gain it back quickly. That's great. You can also gain back cardiovascular fitness pretty quickly too if you already had a good base. But if you don't keep on it, if you don't keep playing the game, if you don't keep consistent for the rest of your life, it's going to go away. It's going to go away. You might be able to get it back quick, right? Just like how if you're really good at poker and you're playing this never-ending game, right, and you lose it all, if you're really good at it, you can get it back super quick because you know the process, you know what works, you know how to do it. But you still have to play that game. You still have to play the game, and that's the one of the most important things to look at fitness as, this never-ending game. So the importance of all these things is really this idea that we come back to numerous times again, is just building long-term success. And the people who get the best results in their fitness journey are thinking long-term. They're not thinking about 3 months or even 3 years. They're thinking about, what is a good sustainable thing that I can implement into my life that I can do for a long period of time, because I know if I consistently do that, I'm going to feel good, I'm going to look good, and I'm going to ultimately have a much better life because I started this fitness journey. Another importance in looking at it from this aspect is that it helps to ease the stress about progress. If you're constantly focusing on the metric of, I need to hit a certain weight in the gym, or I need to lose a certain amount of weight, that can become very stressful over time. So when you instead kind of look at it as like, I will probably get there at some point, maybe I don't know exactly when, but if I stick to this process and know that day in and day out I'm consistent with it, I'm probably going to get that bench press lift. I'm probably going to lose the weight. It's a much easier thing to get started on because it eases a lot of that anxiety and pressure off of yourself. And one of the other things I really like about it too is that it keeps you motivated and focused on the goals that matter for you. Now, a lot of us have a bunch of different goals when it comes to health and fitness. I just discussed a couple, maybe weight loss, maybe getting stronger. All these different things are great. And if you have this fitness mindset of making it a lifestyle choice, making it a long-term game, you will consistently remind yourself what's important for you. You will be able to stay motivated and focused on your goals, and you will be able to achieve a body, a life, a physique, everything that you want plus more. It just takes a little bit of a change in your mindset about fitness, and the fitness mindset is, at least in my eyes, probably one of the most important things that you need to know and should implement into your workout routine as a beginner if you want lasting success. So go ahead, comment down below. Let me know what your current fitness goals are. I'd love to know, and we will continue to move on. So in addition to that, people usually struggle with staying motivated when they first start out as a beginner in the gym. They may have worked out for 2 weeks and said, this is going great, this is going good. By that 3rd week though, man, they're craving some chocolate, they're feeling like they're beat up, they need a break, and they just don't think that they can go on anymore. Okay, so this is something that is incredibly prevalent for people who are not even beginners. Even myself, I've been lifting for well over 10 years. There are still days where I wane with motivation. Okay, so let's look at what I would recommend for beginners and kind of some of the tools that I use to help stay motivated to work out consistently. Okay, so I like to break this down by first discussing motivation in general. Now, motivation is this idea of having a spurt of energy or a spurt of, inspiration to do something in any aspect of life, okay? So a lot of people, when they're starting out, they're really motivated to get in the gym. They're really motivated to improve their fitness and health. So because of this, they have a lot of energy, they have a lot of desire, they have a lot of drive where they can kind of get over that initial discomfort of maybe dieting a little bit, cutting back on the foods they really enjoy, maybe going to the gym, getting a little hot and sweaty and doing stuff that they don't particularly enjoy, right? Or fully enjoy quite yet. So motivation is a great kickstart. It's a great starting point. It's a great way to get your foot in the door to basically start chipping away at the days of fitness ahead. Now, the thing about motivation though is it wanes. It wanes so quickly, and it's not really great for sticking with things. So motivation is like a jet fuel where it's just burning super hard, super fast, and once it's gone though, it's gone. This would be different from something like, I don't even know if this is a good analogy, but like solar energy, right? Where it's a little bit there and it's always consistent. It might not be as powerful as jet fuel, but we always know we're gonna have the sun coming back, and we always know we're gonna have a little bit of it every single day. That's kind of the energy. That's kind of the thing we need to look at when it comes to it. So motivation, great catalyst to start. I love when we're motivated, and there are some times where having that motivation is really the only thing that can get us to start in the first place. So a good form of motivation for somebody is maybe like, I got a wedding coming up and I just want to lose some weight. That's great. So your motivation is the wedding. But beyond that, we want to have more intrinsic motivation and more discipline that we can use to stick with it for a long period of time after that wedding, after that thing that we're trying to achieve, okay? So sticking with it, we look from a sense of discipline. And discipline is simply how I define it as doing something, anything at all, can be fitness, can be not, when you aren't motivated to do it. Okay, great. Easier said than done though, right? So building discipline comes from a lot of different aspects. And I think one of the most important things that you can do to build some discipline is to simply recognize where your barriers are at for fitness and health. So a lot of times people will say that, I'm just so tired after work, right? Or I don't have time because I have all these obligations to juggle. I don't have, any time in my day to do a workout. Or maybe they just don't want to be uncomfortable, right? I don't like being hot and sweaty. I'm kind of self-conscious in the gym. These are all barriers that can make it hard to consistently work out at the gym. So when you have motivation initially, a lot of these things like time, being tired, even being uncomfortable at the gym completely go away because you are so hyper-focused and using a lot of that motivation energy to get you through it. But the discipline comes in looking at your life and saying, okay, I don't have time right now to do a full 1 hour workout every single day. So what do I have time for? What can I stay disciplined with? Well, I can stay disciplined with getting a 15-minute workout in, a 15-minute walk every day for right now. If that's where you're starting at, great. We're just talking about starting and being consistent and doing something, a little thing, every single day to build that long-term success, right? Maybe you're tired. So a discipline point could be for you, it's like, okay, I'm not feeling 100% right now on my energy, so maybe my workout's not going to be 100%, but I'm still going to be disciplined and go and do a little bit. Even if that little bit of a workout is just some light stretching or walking on the treadmill or just doing some really light weights, it doesn't particularly matter, right? Because at the end of the day, that consistency, just getting in and doing the reps regardless of sometimes how hard it is going to be getting you that long-term lasting results. And maybe you're uncomfortable. So the discipline point for this could be is saying, you know what? I recognize that I don't necessarily like lifting super heavy weights. I don't really like being super sweaty. So maybe for you, you recognize that, okay, once I start to get really, really sweaty, maybe that's my point where I cut it off in my workout, right? I'm not going to work out beyond that. And if that's what it takes to be disciplined, where you can work out up until that point, that's it. That's it for you. Finding what works for you, kind of morphing it to your own program and own health and wellness plan is going to be the crucial key, right? This isn't going to be the same for everyone. It shouldn't be the same for everyone because everyone's got different strengths and weaknesses and aspects of life. and especially in how we perceive making fitness a priority in our life, it becomes the exact same thing. Okay. Now, I think another really important thing to note too, and what I already kind of mentioned on this as well, is to understand where your results from fitness come from. So, intensity, where you're really intense and you're really focused, there can be some results that come from this in fitness. So, an example of being really intense would be saying, okay, I'm going to work out every single day for 1 hour a day for 2 weeks, right? That's really intense. That's great. But something like this is usually just built from motivation, okay? And as we discussed, motivation isn't a form of energy that we want to use for long-term lasting success in the gym. Instead, that consistency is going to be the most crucial thing, okay? And this is built from discipline. So we'll look at the prior example of somebody who said, I'm going to work out two straight weeks, right, for 1 hour every single day, and boom, that's good. I can do that. I can do that. How about instead of that, we work out twice a week for a year? That's going to lead to more profound results because you're consistent. Even though you're only lifting twice a week, you're lifting for so many more weeks long term that if that person just quit after that initial stunt, after that initial intensity burst, they're going to be gone. They're going to be down for the count. They're going to not be getting the benefits from health and fitness that we know come from long-term lasting success and results. Okay, so some really crucial things and good takeaway points there to consider. Go ahead and drop the like on the video if that section gave you some good knowledge. And in addition to that, we got a few more great points to consider. And the next thing that we can discuss is what you should do when you face setbacks or plateaus. So setbacks and plateaus are something that when you're first starting out as a beginner won't really happen that often. And this is a great thing because it's very easy to go into the gym when you are constantly progressing, constantly losing weight, and constantly looking better. But at some point, if you get way far in your fitness journey, you could have a setback or a plateau where numerous different things could happen. Okay, so setback could range from something like an injury. Maybe you hurt yourself in the gym. Maybe you hurt yourself outside of the gym in a recreational sport, or even just at work, right? Maybe you pick something up that was too heavy for you and you hurt your back or something. That happens a lot. Not because picking up stuff is bad for your back, but because you lifted something too heavy and you probably should have gotten help, right? Maybe there's some family problems going on. So a setback could be, I just had a death in the family, right? Or I'm just having some interpersonal issues with relationships and stuff. Stuff's not quite right in my outside life. So I feel like I can't push it fully in the gym and I can't fully go. And another thing that's really prevalent too is sickness. And, maybe this is a week where you're just really sick, don't feel good. And sometimes when that happens for people who are just starting out, they never get fully on the bandwagon of lifting again. They never fully get back into it. And this is extremely unfortunate because a lot of times they have actually built up a good amount of success and overall capability levels for themselves where they're like getting results, but just that one little thing set them back. And they feel like all their progress was lost. Everything they worked up to was basically useless because they got sick, they lost some of their progress, and that's it. Okay? So the mindset that I really, really like people to look at when it comes to this is to first off come from a place of self-love. And this might sound kind of like, just like a tree hugger, right? Maybe that's the case, right? I do love some trees. But we just don't want to beat ourselves up, okay? If you constantly beat yourselves up and set yourself to such a high standard in your fitness and health journey that you're never going to have setbacks and you're never going to have anything bad happen in your program, you are setting yourself up for failure. So going in from a place of self-love, not beating yourself up, and just realizing that everything is going to be okay. We just need to get back on the bandwagon, back on the overall train. Another thing you can do is to look for some small wins. So maybe you're not able to fully go back to your workout program like you did before, but a small win for you, instead of sticking to your full normal diet, maybe you just ate a healthy breakfast one day, and that's a win for you. Or maybe instead of your normal, really long run and normal workout, you were able to get up and go for a walk today. Consider that a small win. Were you able to do that when you were in bed and super sick? Were you able to do that when you were injured, right? We're trying to just make some really small steps and a little bit of small progress to boost your confidence, give you some overall good feelings of just general progress, because progress is what helps us to see a light at the end of the tunnel. Progress is what helps us to keep going, because without that progress, even if it's just a little bit, it's really hard to do so. So those small wins are going to build up for you and lead you to hopefully long term getting back to your normal program, getting back to your normal routine, and getting you back to the health and fitness journey that you started before, and you will not regret it. So those small wins are super crucial and key. And another thing that you can do too is to just simply reassess your goals. You might realize that after this setback, after this sickness, that you aren't as ambitious about going super, super hard and getting stronger and building muscle. But maybe you're at a position where you saw somebody who's doing a sport and you're like, I want to try out that sport and I'm just going to kind of shift my goals and work on that. Or maybe you're going to focus a little more on other aspects of health. So maybe you're going to take a step back from working out a super bunch. You're still going to work out because it's important, but maybe you're going to try to work on your emotional connections or your mental health and try to de-stress your body, right? Your goals can and should change when you feel like you need to. If they don't serve you anymore and if they don't really offer you much in your life, it's a great time to say, hey, right now I'm coming back from this setback. I'm going to pivot my goals a little bit. Maybe they'll come back to those goals that I used to, but for now, I'm a different person than I was, 2, 3, 4 months ago, and that's perfectly okay. Let's move ahead from today on. So plateaus are a little different. Plateaus are going to be something where you've hit a sticking point where you can't reach success anymore. So this isn't necessarily a setback because somebody who's plateauing has still been consistent and has still been doing it long term. But a lot of these same mindset things can go for them as well. So some examples of plateaus could be somebody who is trying to lose some weight. So maybe they've gotten to a point where they've lost 10 pounds in, 3 months, right? And that's great. But they can't seem to shed any more weight. It seems like everything they do, it just doesn't work for them. Or maybe somebody is trying to gain a bunch of strength, right? So they've hit a plateau where it's like, okay, I am doing super heavy lifts in the gym. I'm lifting, maybe 200 pounds on bench press, right? That's my 1 rep max. But I can't get above that. I can't get to 205. I can't get to 210. Those are examples of plateaus. You've hit a sticking point where progress has no longer worked well in your favor for a basically linear way, right? So to get through this, I want to pose this question of what got you there to begin with. So what got you there to begin with and what got you to lose some weight and get strong is by being consistent and by having a certain level of intensity with that consistency. So let's look at this from the aspect of losing weight. You were consistent in that you were likely eating less food than you needed every single day. You were eating less calories than you needed every single day to burn weight. So you were eating under your maintenance calories, right? And you were doing that at a certain intensity. So you were eating probably at least 300 to 500 calories less than you needed to every single day. If you didn't follow this level of intensity and you weren't consistent with it, you would not have gotten up to this point, right? This point is a reflection of all those little actions you did. So to break through this, this is going to seem kind of like a dad moment where I'm sure you don't want to hear this, but we still need to be consistent, and we just likely need a little more intensity. So if what got you to losing those 10 pounds in 3 months or whatever was eating 500 less calories every single day than you burned, and that might have been 2,000 calories for you, you might now need to eat a little bit less, 1,800, 1,900 calories, right? You need to be still consistent because that's what got you here, but you need to be more intense about your overall results, right? And some really big things to take away from this are to remember that patience is key. As I always like to tell people, fitness is a long-term game that you need to be looking at as something that you just consistently keep playing, because if you don't, if you take your foot off the gas pedal, it's going to come back to the point where you're not going to be making any more progress. You're not going to be improving your overall fitness and results. And results take time. Results take time, and that's totally okay. The people who get results from their fitness and health journey are the ones who realize this and simply stick with it, okay? A couple other things too. You might actually just need a little bit of a break to recover. So this happens sometimes with people on diets or really hard training programs where they're working out really hard, or they're cutting their calories back a super large amount. And your body can only take a certain amount of stress before it needs some time to break and kind of come back up to a level where it can then push again. So in this case, you might, instead of actually being a little more intense, it might be a good idea for you to, maybe in the dieting example, to come back off your diet for a little bit. This isn't saying to eat a large amount of food, but actually maybe add a little bit of calories back into your overall eating plan. And then once you feel good again, once you feel remotivated, you can dive right back into that program and stick with it for another hard, or I should say, quote unquote hard, right? We're all choosing to do this. So yeah, but it is fairly hard. A hard dieting plan for you to do for yourself. And kind of the last thing to consider too is that you might have just gotten to the point where you have kind of capped out your overall results for the most part. So what I mean by this is that there becomes a point of diminishing returns when it comes to weight loss or gaining strength or gaining muscle, where you will gain a large amount of muscle and strength very quickly, but you will then get to this point where you've gotten most of what you can get in your lifetime, and this depends on how good your genetics are and how quickly you'll get to this. And then it will come to a point of, instead of this really quick rapid growth, you're going to then taper off to very, very slow growth. So you might just be at a point where you have either lost a lot of weight and you're already really lean, and it's going to be much harder and slower for you to lose more weight, or you've already gained a bunch of strength and have gotten to the point where getting even 5 more pounds on your bench press, or just getting a little bit more muscle on your body is, I'm not going to say impossible because it's not possible, but it is nearly impossible, okay? If you're in that position, just realize, hey, you're in the 90%. Not many people will get up to that point, so give yourself a good pat on the back and go ahead and like the video as well if that gave you some good motivation to break through your plateaus and keep moving in the gym. So another concept we can look at is feeling overwhelmed by fitness information in the gym. So if you are overwhelmed by all the fitness information in the gym, it can be extremely, extremely stressful, because you're like, which influencer do I pick? Do I follow, this guy or that guy? Do I follow bodybuilding.com? So this is going to help you pick a fitness influencer that is right for you, And obviously, I'm kind of biased. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would greatly appreciate it. But maybe I'm not for you, and that's okay. There are lots of other good fitness influencers out there as well. So, when it comes to picking a fitness influencer or just a source to get information from, recognize there is information about literally everything. So there's information telling you that squats are good. There's information telling you that squats are bad. Okay? There's literally something about everything out there on the internet. Okay? So that's the first thing I want to tell you. And this kind of bleeds into the second one because there is information about everything, about fitness and health and what you should and shouldn't do, and milk is good, milk isn't good, all these different things. There is always somebody trying to sell you something based off of these specific things, okay? So somebody might tell you that, like, oh, squats aren't good, but this specific exercise is good, and that exercise is in my training program, which you can find on my website. That's an example. It's also with supplements too, of you shouldn't eat this certain type of protein powder because it's bad for you. But the protein powder that I have on my website is really, really good for you and has all, the amino acids and everything you need. Okay? So that's something that can be done numerous times and is done numerous times with fitness influencers. So just realize that. Another thing to realize is that all good information is largely free. And you can find so much good information online nowadays, especially on YouTube out there when it comes to fitness and health information. But the catch with this is that the implementation of information costs usually the money. So the coaching or the program to actually take what you've learned from that little piece of information, piece of content, and applying it to your life. So for example, I could make a video on some of the best foods for weight loss, right? And I have made videos on that. But you could look at that video and you're like, okay, these foods sound good, but I don't like any of these foods. So if these are the best foods for weight loss and I don't eat any of these foods, am I not going to lose weight? Well, of course not. You can still lose weight eating other foods, but it would then be my job as a coach to help you navigate through that and get you to that point. So some tips in finding your fitness influencer and becoming less overwhelmed is to find a source that you trust. And this comes from exploring, looking on YouTube, looking online, looking at all these different places and consuming some of their content. So watching some of their videos, following blog posts, maybe following them on social media, and seeing what resonates for you and works the best for you in your life. And maybe at some point this is going to lead you to actually buying a coaching service from them, doing something virtual with them, a virtual program. Maybe you're just going to support them and donate some money if they have like a Patreon, or if they have super chats or channel memberships on YouTube. There's a lot of different ways you can support people directly too, through your funds if you don't actually do one-on-one coaching with them as well. And then that's that. Keep looking for other people, but find somebody you trust. That's going to maybe take a little bit of time, but explore what's out there. Find someone who resonates with you and go ahead and stick with them. So go ahead and drop a comment down below. Let me know your favorite fitness influencer, outside of me, of course. And again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it. We help individuals of all abilities improve their overall health and knowledge of the gym. So beginners, seniors, etc. We like creating an inclusive fitness environment for individuals of all abilities and walks in life, right? So speaking about all people in all walks of life, it is incredibly common to feel self-conscious in the gym when you are exercising. So let's look at why this is and what you can do about it. So if you feel like being self-conscious isn't normal, let's look at why people are self-conscious to begin with, okay? So usually, and this is kind of my perspective from what I've witnessed from people, it's usually because people are worried about how other people will perceive them, okay? So they think that, okay, if I go to the gym and I exercise in a certain way, or if I look a certain way when I'm doing this exercise, that people will make fun of me, and maybe I'm just not going to make any friends at the gym because of that, or they're going to post something on social media. That's a big thing nowadays, is people getting pictures of them at the gym and people ridiculing them. It's ridiculous. But and this is a good thing initially, because it helps you to become welcomed. Okay, so being self-conscious is actually a good thing. So if you think about it, if you do something bad, you will feel self-conscious and guilty, and likely apologize and hopefully be accepted by the group or people. So in the example, maybe you were at the gym and you were walking around in a certain way and doing an exercise that was damaging the equipment, and you didn't realize it at the time, and somebody came up to you and told you that. You would become self-conscious and feel kind of bad about yourself. And this is, in this sense, a good thing, because now you know that you didn't use it the proper way. You can, apologize to the guy, maybe ask him how to use it, and then you're accepted now. You become more accepted into that group, more in phenomena. But it can, of course, be maladaptive, as I discussed just a little bit ago, where you take this to the nth degree, and maybe you think that, oh my gosh, now every time I go in the gym, I'm always going to be doing something wrong. I'm always going to be breaking equipment. I'm always going to be doing X, Y, Z, and I'm going to get kicked out of the gym. Everyone's going to hate me. I'm going to be fat and lonely for the rest of my life. And although this sounds kind of crazy when you think about it, that's how your brain works. Your brain takes the worst case scenario and it runs it all the way down the beaten path into an even more worst case scenario. Okay, so that overthinking is extremely maladaptive, and being self-conscious can lead to that if you are not self-aware and attuned to kind of how you feel and perceive yourself. The thing about exercise in itself too, which makes being self-conscious even more prevalent for people, is that if you think about it, you're in very vulnerable positions. So you're squatting, it's kind of awkward of a position where you're not very, if somebody looks at you, it's very exposing, to say the least. What is also exposing is being in tighter clothes, and being maybe exposed a little more than you would normally be at home. And sometimes these tighter clothes come from people, wearing compression, because compression usually feels good to move around in at the gym. But at the same time, these tighter clothes, you might feel more self-conscious, because it really shows your curves and accentuates all the either good or bad things of your body, depending on how you look at yourself. Being sweaty is kind of unpleasant too, and maybe even on the side of this too, you'll also have some odors that happen when you work out, which is totally normal and part of working out, but this can lead to you being more self-conscious about, oh my gosh, do people, think I smell like crap, and they're, gonna look at me the wrong way. Again, your brain's crazy, right? Doing new things too. Anytime you do something new, you're gonna feel right off the bat likely like you're a failure, like you're doing something wrong, and like something's going on. And all those might be true initially, but that's totally okay, right? That's totally okay. What I would recommend doing in these exact situations is to try to do the exact opposite, until a point where you become less self-conscious about yourself working out at the gym. So instead of getting in really vulnerable positions, maybe you're just not doing those types of exercises right now, and instead doing just some walking on the treadmill or some machine exercises, because those aren't as vulnerable. Instead of wearing clothes that kind of accentuate every curve, maybe you're going to be wearing stuff that's a little bit baggier, because it doesn't make you feel as self-conscious. Maybe, if you don't like getting super sweaty and smelling super bad, you are not going to work out to an intensity that gets you to that point, right? You're not going to feel self-conscious about it at that point. And then, doing new things in the gym is important to boost your confidence and long-term success. But at the same time, maybe you're not quite ready for that. and that's totally okay. So get to a point where you know you won't feel as self-conscious as you would now, and then kind of lead to that. And kind of a final note on all of this that will wrap this section in a nice tight bow is to remember that you might perceive that people are judging you in the gym. You might think that people are looking at you, staring at you, posting on social media, and, going to just only be thinking about you in the workout. But what I want to tell you, as somebody who has been working out for multiple years, this is not the case. Most people who go and work out at the gym don't worry about others. To be completely honest, they don't care about others. They're only there. The people who are really serious about working out are only there for themselves, right? Working out is kind of a selfish endeavor. It's a good selfish endeavor because it helps you to feel healthier and can then help you to help others in other aspects of your life. But in general, it's a very selfish aspect. So people don't go to the gym and immediately think about all the other people because they're not worried about those people. They're worried about their own workout and themselves, okay? Now, I will say you'll get a few people who might give weird looks and stuff, but those are very few and far between, and their ego is pretty high to the point where they just think they might be better than themselves and everyone at the gym just because they're working out in a certain way or look a certain way compared to others. So don't worry about those people. You don't want to know those people, and it's probably good that they're already showing themselves to you as somebody you don't want to be with. So don't worry about others. You got this. And being self-conscious is totally normal, and just do your best to work through it and make small steps in that adjustment. So go ahead and drop a like on this video if that section gave you some good knowledge, and we have a few more things to dive into. Really excited about this next one, and the next thing that we're going to talk about is really important if you find dieting incredibly difficult, and if you feel like every time you start a diet you feel so deprived, like you can't eat any of your favorite chocolates, you can't eat any of your favorite foods, and you feel like you literally will never be able to stick to this because it already sucks and it's been only 2 days, okay? So let's talk about balancing your dieting approach without feeling deprived. So the first thing I want you to do is to reframe this idea of dieting. Now, everyone is technically dieting, or everyone has a diet, okay? Everyone has a diet where they are consuming different foods every single day. So when we think about that though, okay, that's great, but my diet's not letting me lose weight. So I'm technically dieting, but why am I not losing weight? Well, some diets are better for losing weight and becoming healthier. So, quote unquote, healthy diets can look a lot of different ways though. So maybe a healthy diet is where you are just only eating clean foods, right? You're just saying to yourself, I'm only going to eat some chicken breast, veggies, and some whole wheat grains, right? That's going to be what I eat every day. That's probably going to lead to weight loss, okay? Maybe you count macros or calories very religiously. That is also going to lead to weight loss because you are controlling those calories and eating less than what you need every single day to lose weight. Or maybe you're somebody who's eating paleo, where it's only things that basically came from the earth, right? So a lot of times in paleo, people like red meat. I think like starches is a good one. It's minimal starches, but starches. I need to look at paleo. It's been a while. Paleo is kind of similar to clean eating in some aspect, but it's everything that comes from the earth, basically. So very minimally processed foods. So all of those are forms of healthy dieting, but all those are a little different, right? And all of those can lead to you losing weight and health. And the reason that they lead to losing weight and health is not because they're quote unquote the best. They might be the best for that individual, but why these work is because they allow you to monitor your portions and eat in a calorie deficit, okay? So a calorie deficit is going to be incredibly crucial and the most important thing to losing weight in general. And when you realize this, that okay, if I control my calories, you can essentially eat anything on a weight loss diet so long as you are eating below your maintenance calories, and you will lose weight. There is no way that you will not. It's literally the laws of thermodynamics where you are taking energy away from your body to the point where it's got to take it from somewhere, and it's going to take it from mostly muscle if you're working, or excuse me, mostly fat if you're working out. Of course, a little bit of muscle just because that happens from losing weight. So what I recommend is to first find your calorie goals, and this comes from the NIH body weight planner. This is my favorite way to actually find your overall calorie recommendations. You'll punch in your activity level, your height and weight. You'll say how much you are going to change your activity, how much you currently do. You are going to say how quickly you want to achieve this new weight, and it'll spit you out a calorie goal. It'll spit you out a calorie goal for your exact goals. So you actually put in there too if you want to gain weight, maintain, or lose weight. So we're going to assume that you're going to be wanting to lose weight in this position. So it's going to give you that calorie goal. We're just going to use 2,500 calories as the example that it might have hypothetically came out for you. This could or couldn't be what you have. And what I recommend at that point is to eat mostly whole foods on your diet, okay? Mostly whole foods. So this would be those lean meats, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and that's going to comprise most of your food, okay? Most of your calories would come from that. And at the end of the day, though, as we discussed, you can still eat some junk food. You can still enjoy some junk food on these diets so long as your calories are still kept in check. So on that 2,500 calorie diet, if you eat 2,000 calories of healthy food, 500 calories of junk food, let's say 2 Pop-Tarts, right? 2 Pop-Tarts is 400 calories. And then maybe you have like a small piece of chocolate. That's 500 calories. Boom, right there. If it takes 2,500 calories for you to maintain your weight, or even 2,500 calories for you to lose your weight, and if you're eating that exact thing I just discussed, you will either maintain your weight and you will also lose weight. The thing about this, though, is that you will not feel deprived because you were able to get a little bit of that quote-unquote junk food, right? And you also will feel really, really good because most of your calories were coming from that healthy food, which help to keep you full so you're not hungry throughout the day, which will help to give you more energy so you can push harder in your workouts and recover better, and will allow you to get the most out of your fitness and health results. So balancing dieting without feeling deprived all comes down to eating a small amount of foods that you enjoy that aren't maybe the healthiest in moderation, and just realizing that so long as your calories are in check at the end of the day, over weeks, over months, long term, you're going to be good, okay? So really, it's a lot of times people will think that being deprived is part of dieting. It's not part of dieting. It's the fact that people think that you can't eat anything unhealthy on a diet. You can. It just does make it a little bit tougher to feel full, because if you think about it, those Pop-Tarts and chocolate we talked about, that's 500 calories. That's not a lot of food. That won't fill you up. But if you ate 500 calories of chicken breast, you're going to feel like your stomach's going to explode. So just kind of some things you'll need to consider for yourself when you are sticking to your overall diet. So go ahead and comment down below and let me know what your favorite junk food is on a diet, either when you're trying to lose weight or just in general. I'm really curious. Mine, I really enjoy donuts. I don't get them a lot because they're extremely high in calories, but man, a custard-filled donut, oh, thinking about it right now. Not good situation, not good situation. It's early in the day. I still got a little bit of time before I eat. Maybe I'll go grab some donuts. One of the most important things to finish on today that will help you tremendously in your fitness journey is looking at what you can do to keep consistent in your health journey and make sure that you will get lasting results forever. So to do that and to get results that last, let's look at making fitness a long-term commitment. So I first want you to reframe your idea of health. Reframe your idea of health, fitness, and going to the gym, all these activities. You may think of these as sole activities or things that you only do one time. But in all reality, these are activities that to get the results that you want, you are going to be needing to do for the rest of your life. You're going to needing to do them forever. So in the beginning, you might be a little more intense in your focus. You might be a little more intense at the start of your workout and fitness journey. And this is usually because people have a lot of motivation, so they want to be intense. They feel like they need to be intense. You don't need to technically need to be really intense when you first start out. That's just usually what happens, okay? And that's fine. That's great. You can be intense. So at the beginning, being really intense, maybe you're losing a large amount of weight in your weight loss goal. And after that, you lost 30 pounds, but you have like 10 more pounds, say you really want to lose. You can't do it though. And you feel like, oh, all hope is lost. I'm going to give up because I haven't gotten that 10 pounds left. You just lost 30 pounds. That's great. Keep up with it. You're doing fine. But what would happen if you just completely stopped everything once you lost that weight and you just gave up? What happens when the weight is lost and you feel like you lost because you can't lose a little more weight? You're going to gain it all back. This is why consistency and following the same thing that got you to the point you are in today is going to be liberating and get you even more of what you want, right? So you need to be consistent with what got you there, especially with those long-term results, but realize you just might need to taper back the intensity a little bit. So you might have been working out super hard to lose those 30 pounds, and you get to a point where you're like, man, I feel burnt out. I don't think I can do anymore. So at that point, you probably do need to do a little bit more. You need to be working out harder, working out more. But right now, because we are looking at fitness as a long-term progress, maybe you just need to pump the brakes a little bit. Maybe you need to come off your diet and workout program just a little bit. Not a lot. You still need to be consistent, but get to a place where you have peace about what you're doing, where you don't feel burnt out, where you don't feel like you need so much energy and so much motivation every single day to work out in the gym. That's a tough place to be in. You might just need to pump the brakes a little bit and reassess your goals and work from a different lens than when you first started. When you first started, you were so into it. You were so everything. But once you've lost that weight, we might need to shift our focus a little bit. And we might need to shift our focus to another meaningful goal that's meaningful for us. Not for others, not for what other people want, but for us. So losing weight, getting stronger, getting some muscle, those are great, meaningful goals. But you need to make sure it's meaningful for you. It means something for you. And when you are picking these goals, we need to be specific as well. So being specific could involve maybe losing 10 pounds in 6 months, right? That'd be a good specific goal to help you lose some weight. Or maybe being specific for getting strong is saying, hey, I want to get strong enough to squat 100 pounds in 6 weeks, okay? Both of those are examples of being very specific in your goals. And the last part of this, and maybe one of the most important parts of this in making fitness a long-term commitment, is to make it emotional. Make your goal, your specific goal, emotional to what you want to do. Why do you want to lose 10 pounds? Why is it meaningful for you? You want to lose weight to feel more self-confident and finally fit in those pants you always wanted. or you want to lose weight to feel more confident so you can go out in public and not feel really self-conscious and like people are just looking at you because of your weight, right? It's sort of for other people, but it's really your inner peace. You want to be able to get strong enough to be able to play with your kids longer and build some good cardio activities so you can maybe go run with them and play soccer with them. All these different things are emotional and they're based on your specific emotional needs. So making that goal emotional, making it specific, and making sure it is meaningful, all tied together in a nice, pretty bow, is what is going to get you the fitness and health goals that you desire and keep you doing it for a long period of time. So go ahead, drop a like if that section gave you some good value, and let me know down below in the comments what your goal for fitness currently is, and maybe how you can make it a little more specific and how you can make it more emotional to make sure you stick with it for a long period of time. But if you haven't already as well, go ahead and drop a subscribe to the channel. We help individuals of all abilities improve their overall health and knowledge of the gym, regardless of their current abilities in life. And once you're done doing that, I'm going to go ahead and link another video right here that gives you a full deep dive podcast we created, helping you learn all about time management skills and getting the most out of your fitness journey if you don't have enough time to work out. So I will link that right here, and you should go check that out. I appreciate you for joining me, and we will see you next time.